To make this ear cuff, we need 20 gauge wire, a thinner wire of around 28 gauge, two little tiny beads, round nose pliers, flush cutter, and chain nose pliers. First of all, we need to know the proportion and the sizes of the ear that we are going to make this ear cuff for, and we have the complete tutorial on the link above. Once you have the ear map, we are going to design the form that we are going to make. First of all, we start by this curve just behind our ear, and this is where the ear cuff is going to lay on. And then continue, it will roll up just like this. This is one of these strands, and this is the second one. Then I'm going to make the first one curled like this, and the second one just pursued the form of the first one, just in continue another curve, and at the end a curl like this. As you can see, this is a two line and pair wire strands, and here I'm going to make another curl here, and all of these three wire strands are going to be attached with wire wrapping parts together, and here a little tiny bead, and again the wire wrapping. I would continue the same and draw the lines that I'm going to pursue at the other side. You could just follow up the things that I'm doing, and you don't need necessarily draw the lines, but you should pay attention to the proportions and the sizes of your ear. And here I'm going to determine the sizes that I need to cut out on the wire strands. So I pick up a very thin chain, and I will put that on the drawing lines and would spread it out and mark on the paper. This is one of these strands I need. I'm going to repeat that for the other line, and as the chain is more delicate, the more precise with the sizes. And of course, it has a little tolerance, but that's acceptable. And these two little curves, and altogether we need 4 wire strands. Pick up two largest ones and put them together so that midpoints meet each other. And here we are going to form these two wire strands together, and first we start by this curve. So we start forming these pairs of wires together to make the curve behind the ear, just like this. And once we get this form, pick up the thinner wire and just make two rough wrapping parts that are supports to keep those wires tight next to each other. And we are going to unfasten and unwrap these parts, and they are not the part of our piece. So I repeat that in front of the first one to keep those wires tight, and then put it on the design. And here at the end of the curve, I would roll the wire just like this, and the second one. And of course, we have a gap in between that is appropriate to the thickness of our ear where it's going to put on. And here I'm going to make another curves. There's wire strands, and then for the first one, I would make a curl at the opposite direction. So I would roll it down just like this and make a loop here. And here I see that it's a little long, so I would cut it out with flush cutter to make a very small loop in between. So I use round nose pliers and put it perpendicular to the wire and make a very tiny loop in between. That also makes the wire to be closed. And here, for this second wire strand above, I just pursue the form of the previous wire, just as we drawn first. And here another curve at the opposite direction and another one just like the first curl. Check it out on the design and we'll continue making those curves with round nose pliers and of course with our fingers. Now the upper part is made. We're going to add the wire wrapping part. So pick up the thinner wire and here just make a tie. So I use my round nose pliers to throw the thinner wire and would wrap it for about 3 or 4 times here to be fastened up. And at the other side, would continue wrapping wire again on both wire strands. And before I get to this place, add the other particle. So I would cut it out with flush cutter and make 2 very little loops at the ends, just like this. And I would put it just here and we'll continue wrapping the thinner wire and it will embrace both wire strands and to join the third part. So I would wrap it and you could follow up any wire weaving pattern that you want, but here I'm using one of the easiest ones. At this point I add the tiny bead in and would continue wrapping the thinner wire on both sides and continue that for another 4 or 5 times. Cut it out at the very end and we'll squeeze it with chain nose pliers. And this is the first part of our wire ear cuff. And at the other side, this is the same. So I roll the wire, both of the wire strands, of course, and we'll continue to make the same pattern as the first part. So I'm using round nose pliers, twin nose pliers, my fingers, and make curly parts here too. Also the third part and would be attached together with the thinner wire and another wire wrapping part here. Then that would be the very beautiful wire ear cuff. Hope you enjoyed, friends.